Hello, 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 hello. Welcome again to another episode of Your Words, Your Voice. I'm your host, James Hopkins, and thank you all for tuning in. My esteemed guest today is a woman that's been a lot of places, seen a lot of things, done a lot of things, and still have a lot of things she plan on doing. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Felicia Tripp, how you doing today?
Doing well.
Is it Miss or Mrs.?
It's Miss.
Miss Felicia Tripp. All right, Miss Tripp. So the way I like to start the show off, aside from everything that you do, exactly, tell people who you are, where you're born, where you're raised, what you like to eat. Just let us know a little bit about who Miss Felicia Tripp is.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate that. And, it's definitely an honor to be asked. But my name is, as you said, Felicia Tripp. I am a born and raised Jacksonian.
Okay. All right.
So, born and raised in a little neighborhood called Verdant Addition.
Have we heard of
in
that?
Ward 3 of Jackson, Mississippi. I am a mother of a team. I feel like I gave birth to a whole team.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm a mother of 4.
Okay.
And a mother of 4 plus.
Okay.
My mother-in-law, when she passed, my at the time husband and I were blessed to have 2 additions.
Okay.
To raise
Bonus
with
babies.
to raise with our 4. And I'm a grandmother also.
Okay. Congratulations.
Hello, thank you. Hello, Aubrey and Autumn. And, hey, I like to consider myself a community advocate.
Mm-hmm.
I do work in the government sector as well. I'm on the board of a few nonprofits as well, and really entrenched in the environmental and climate justice movement and disaster preparedness for community.
Okay,
Yeah.
great stuff. So, what school did you go to? What middle school did you go to?
Well, James, I'm of an age that it wasn't called middle school then.
I know it was junior high. I went to junior
Powell
high
Junior
too.
High.
I went to Blackburn Junior High.
I went to Powell, the best one
Okay.
to go to at
All
that
right.
time.
Yeah, they about to go in their building in January. They've been doing school out of Brinkley.
Yeah.
So I talked to someone there last week, and she said they're about to go into their building in January.
Oh, wow.
So every January they say, y'all going in January? Then they push it off a year. So hopefully they can be back there. They can be back there in January. And what about your high school?
I actually attended Lanier High School.
833.
Yeah.
No.
What were you about to say? You want me to
If
throw
you
it
didn't
up?
finish.
Did
If
you
you
want
didn't
me to
finish,
throw it up?
go and throw it up. Sure,
Okay.
represent. All right.
But prior to going back over to Lanier, I actually attended Murrah High School for a short period of time as well. So.
And then realized it just wasn't Lanier, so you had to go back home.
Well, they realized I wasn't in their district.
There you go.
But
I like my
Either
answer
way.
better. Okay.
either way.
All right, Miss Tripp.
Yeah.
So let's mosey along.
Okay.
So you say you are a part of several nonprofits.
Yes. Well, on the board, yes.
Let's talk about a couple of those. Tell me.
Okay. So I am on the board of the Jackson Association of Neighborhoods. I
Right.
am one of the 2 chairs for Ward 3.
Wow.
Myself and Serena Wilson.
Yeah, I know
Yes.
Serena. I need to get Serena on the show too.
You do.
So Miss Fran is
Miss
over.
Fran
is she
is
still
Ward Chair of Ward 3.
Ward 3? Okay.
Yes.
Miss Fran is a hard person to get in touch with.
I don't know how.
I've been trying my best to contact her about doing some stuff.
You
but
got to call.
I got the right
you
person
cannot
here.
star 69 and call Miss Fran Bridges, but she does pick up the phone now.
Okay. All right.
She does.
All right.
She's very active in her community in Pecan Park. I mean, very, very active. And she's also the chair of the membership committee with James.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, because I've been trying to do some work with her, like trying to get something done citywide with all of the communities on the same day, kind of like a night out, but we'll talk about it. I basically want different communities, not just being with your community, but I want the communities to kind of intermingle, to
Right.
kind of build a bond between, people that normally wouldn't talk to each other.
Right. So, so the Jackson Association of Neighborhoods sounds like the organization you need to be connected with. So.
Definitely need to be connected with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we can get that done and kind of get our North Jackson people to kind of mingle with West Jackson and vice versa. So, we get a better understanding of who we are, because a lot of times if you never cross paths with people or you never have to have a gas station in your neighborhood that you're afraid to go to, then you don't really understand the people, who deal with it on a daily basis.
Yeah,
So,
a lot of people become siloed in their issues. So, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Right. Okay. So I'm glad you told me about that. So now I'm going to hound you about it if I can't get in touch with her.
All right, now I might have to block you like Fran did. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm going to star 69. Star 67 or however you do it.
Right.
All right. So that's a great organization. And kind of explain to the people what the neighborhood associations do.
So the Jackson Association of Neighborhood is not itself a neighborhood association. It is there to support the founding and building of neighborhood associations and community collaboration. That is what we are all about, to support those organizations. Again, from forming through the duration for sustainability. Because all things start local and stay local, and the more you're in tune with those blocks around you, the more likely we are to actually see some change happening. Okay. It's funny that you mentioned Fran. When anybody who knows Dr. Bridges knows that she is an absolute champion for her community, right? She doesn't, it's not that she limits herself only to her community. She does lend a hand in things that impact others, but she makes the biggest impact because she keeps her net where she has the most impact, right? And she has that connectivity with Jackson State as well, to make sure that her community is receiving those resources. So imagine if we were to multiply more Fran Bridges. We could actually see those tangible changes happen.
Okay. That's great. Okay, tell us about another organization.
Okay, so I am also on board, and this is a for-profit organization or company, rather, Eversol, and it is a renewable energy company dealing with solar energy, and right now, recently founded about a year or so ago. So we are dealing with what's SRS, or single room solutions, in the event of a disaster. Now, what does that mean? That means that if there is a widespread outage for utilities, we have a lot of people who have utility dependencies, whether it's an oxygen tank or dialysis at home. We have a lot of people who have medical utility dependencies. So if a storm comes and there's an extended period of time, or even in some cases a short period of time, that can mean the difference between life or death,
right?
And we want to make sure that we are extending opportunity for people to live life throughout those, in spite of a disaster. So what is a single room solution? It is, we have a battery that is a solar battery. So a lot of people think if I have solar panels, if the lights go out, then my home will continue to have lights. That's not the case, because the panels themselves are not the source of the power. You're connected to the grid. So if the grid itself is down, the solar panels alone do you no good. But having a battery source is indeed what allows you to continue to have those utilities. So you can have a refrigerator that works, so that that person with the oxygen dependency can continue until the power is restored. We are in a time where we have more and more disasters. So it's not a case of if, it's when you yourself will be impacted by that. Plus, it's an opportunity to reduce the utility bill that individuals have as well. Everybody knows everything is going up. People are being priced out of even being able to
everything
have
except for pay.
Say that again. The cost that we pay out for things is definitely outpaying the income that people are receiving. And so we have to look at ways to save. We absolutely have to look at ways to save, because, again, people are being priced out of their homes. It's becoming more and more common for people to roommate and have several people in one space, because people are trying to survive. So, again, looking at what we would say, looking at the future, already exists in so many places. Not just outside the United States, right here in the United States. It's common to see solar panels in several other states. More and more people are now picking up on that here, thankfully. But we need government and more individuals to also understand the importance of this.
So when you were saying that solar panels don't necessarily keep things going, now, obviously you have a background in environmental work. Why isn't that just like when I see solar panels and things of that nature, I assume that that's all you need. It's just the solar panels and then the connection. Right. So are you telling me that every house that has the solar panels also have some type of battery attached to them?
No, not all of them do.
They just don't have the understanding that.
Well, I wouldn't even say the understanding because, again, one of my business partners who actually created the battery of Eversol, this is his creation. He took some parts and, tinkered around with some things over 10 years ago, including, I believe, a Tesla battery. And he was able to build this component, this device, and also have AI-infused technology with it so that it can indeed support a home being able to have that power if indeed the grid is down. So when you hear people talk about being off-grid, this is what allows that opportunity.
And how do people get something like that? Or is it strictly through an organization that lends it?
No, it's not lending. It is something that is for purchase. And like I said, our company itself, relatively new, just about to go into the manufacturing component. Right now, we also do tiny homes. So that is something that we are already building and supplying for people, the tiny homes. We have a model home right now in the city, and it's very small.
Somebody's showing that. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're fine. So yeah, it's actually 160, only 160 square feet, which is relatively small. But in this, it has a kitchenette area. It also has a stand-up shower, toilet, and a living/sleeping space.
Okay.
So they can be utilized. So and again, really new company. Really excited about the opportunities that are coming forth. A lot of announcements that we'll have coming very, very soon with that. But yeah.
So you have these batteries available now?
No, we're about to go into manufacturing of the battery. So, like I said, we have an announcement coming very, very soon. So the opportunity will be there for people.
Okay. And you spoke passionately about a project that's coming near Tougaloo. Caroline Road area. And you made a lot of valid points that I think a lot of us are overlooking, or else they're going over our head, because when we hear about new projects and new things coming to the city, first thing we talk about is job opportunities. And that's what they sell us on. But there are going to be more job opportunities and more money coming in and more tax base and things of that nature. So when we come back off the commercial, I want you to kind of, give us a rundown on how we're really being bamboozled with this situation. Okay. And we'll be back right after this short break. Good evening. This is James Hopkins, and this is Your Words, Your Voice,
where we talk about what matters. From leaders making change to moments that connect us all. Every voice has a story worth telling. Your Words, Your Voice with James Hopkins, where conversations build community.
I'm James Hopkins. I'm the host. And on this podcast, we're going to be talking about all types of things. We're going to be talking about church, school, community. We're going to be talking about politics and crime.
Join the conversation. Subscribe now.
Advertise on WeBelieve.global, a brand new digital media platform. Share your brand with our audience on our many global live stream TV broadcasts and over the radio. For more info, visit WeBelieve.global or call 800-492-5186, option 1.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We are here today with Miss Felicia Tripp, and she's a young lady that doesn't mind saying what's on her mind. She'll be your friend later, but she's going to help you out first. So, Miss Tripp, we have a couple of projects coming to the city.
Yes.
And they've been sold to us as great business opportunities and job development for the city. I want you to kind of elaborate on those projects, and we already know which ones I'm talking about. So
Right.
just kind of elaborate on those projects and give me your professional opinion on how they'll affect the city, job-wise and whatever else they say.
Absolutely. So I know one of the things that we were talking about is the data center that Amazon is building. And though it's not considered in the city of Jackson, it's literally right there at the line of Jackson and Ridgeland, and it's definitely going to have an impact on Jackson because of the proximity. So you hear about data centers all over the country, and people get excited about that, because you hear Amazon, you hear data center, you think job opportunities.
Right.
Of course, me too. That's what I would have thought as well. But one of the scariest things about the data centers is the amount of land use that is taken up by this very large facility, like acres and acres and acres and acres of land. So all these trees are being cut down. So that's one part of it. But when you look at it, such a mass amount of space that's being taken up, you think of a Nissan or you think of a Continental Tires as far as the amount of people that are being employed by this particular project.
Right.
There are a lot of people that will be employed by it, but not long term. The majority of the employment happens from the construction of it. That is not permanent employment. And also, there's no sustainability piece from an economic perspective for the surrounding community based on that. Now, when it's all said and done and the data center is up and running, you're likely not to exceed anywhere from 25 to 30 employees. 25 to 30.
As big as that building is going to be.
Exactly. And the majority, and many of those people will be janitors or people who are not making this grandiose amount of money. So it's sold as one thing, but the reality is something quite different. So that's the economic perspective of things. And a lot of times they're given, and when I say they're given, companies are given tax breaks.
Right.
I mean, astronomical
Right.
tax breaks. So if they're given tax breaks, then again, where's the benefit from an economic perspective for Mississippi, for your county, for your city?
Right.
Now, you don't have employees there to live in the area so that they can increase the tax base. You don't have the company itself paying a lot of taxes, at least not in the near future, when they are receiving these tax breaks. And in addition to that, you have this vast amount of land that's being used. Now, a data center, a lot of people aren't really familiar with exactly what it's going to do, but it's an energy consumer. They are energy consumers. They're popping up everywhere. 3 alone are coming to Mississippi because the East Coast can't handle much more of that. You have, you have them in Georgia, you have them in the Carolinas. They can't handle that. Infrastructure-wise, it's taking too much energy for these data centers. So you come to states like Mississippi, who oftentimes, as we do, have very lapsed laws as it pertains to environmental law.
Right.
And environmental protections and notification to the public of what's coming in your area.
Right.
And what is known with data centers is, again, the depletion of natural sources that it takes. Most people aren't aware how much water is going to be consumed. So when you go to ChatGTP or you use Google Gemini or you use any of these, you are literally consuming water and it's not being replenished as fast as it's being consumed. There's a large water aquifer in that area near Tula, and you can look that up.
Okay.
And it's been there for thousands and thousands of years. But now we have this company that is going to come in and potentially drain this natural source of water. In addition to that, they contaminate groundwater. So it uses water just like with a power plant. They would use water to cool off a thing, right?
Right.
So it can continue. And the water that comes back out is not going to be clean water.
Right.
So the potential to harm the air as well as the groundwater is absolutely there.
Wow.
It happens. So what can we do about that? Well, for one thing, it doesn't have to be that way. There are ways that these data centers can be built where they are more environmentally friendly. What is it going to take for that to happen? We have to have strong elected officials. I don't mean they can pick up something heavy and come pick me up off the ground if I fall
Right.
type of stuff.
Right.
I'm talking about standing strong on principle
Right.
to do what's right because it's the right thing to do, and have enough wherewithal to actually do the research to know what it is they're saying yes to. And if you have someone who is saying yes to having a thing in your area that contaminates the air that you breathe because of a concession of a $50,000 or even just $100,000 donation, that's not the person who you need in that whatever seat they hold.
Right. Y'all listening to that? Because we just had elections. We got elections coming up next year, too.
Elections are every year, just about.
601-387-2684 is the number you need to call if you want to talk to Miss Tripp or ask any questions. And I think the stuff she's saying is definitely something, that I can't ask all the questions. But if you listen, definitely call the studio and just kind of pick her brain, because right now she's telling me some good stuff and she's telling you some good stuff. So you're saying that they're basically recycling the water, but they're taking the good and sending back the bad.
Absolutely. And I want to also give this caveat. Felicia is not an expert by any means.
Okay.
So I've been an environmental and climate justice advocate for some time. I would say more so disaster and community preparedness in an arena would be more so my area of expertise, and I even use that lightly.
Right.
But what I have done and am diligent about doing is research. I've been blessed to be around a lot of smart people, and I've been blessed to know that not to even take their word. I search reputable sources. And so even with what I'm saying, I challenge everyone to look at this. Look at this for what it is, because we have to educate ourselves.
Okay.
There's no one source that we can just take that information and run with it and say that this is our it. But we also have to look at our communities. Literally, just step out and look at your surrounding community. If where you live doesn't reflect what you want to see or what you should see, then you have to ask why. And who, and all of we are really quick to just deflect back to one thing. Like, people talk about crime all the time, right?
Right.
And like, if you talk about crime, if something happens, the next thing, well, what about black on black crime? We got to stop being simple.
Right.
We got to become more critical thinkers.
Right.
Because let me pose this to you. We talk about crime, which I don't believe in black on black crime.
Right.
And I know
Crime
somebody
is
will be
crime.
like, well, yeah, crime is based on proximity.
Right.
Who do you live near?
Right.
That's more than likely who the crime is going to be implemented on. Who you're in proximity to, the majority of the time. This is not a Felicia thing. You can, hey, Google that, Chat GTP. Please don't Chat GTP that. But read a book, because hey, we're trying to not kill the earth on it.
Right.
But what does science, what does data say? What do all these bureaus who look at this, what do they say? Crime is about proximity, but we allow people to use certain words, and now that just drives you to look at things based on race rather than what it is.
Right.
All these things are wealth drivers for a few to get rich and us to continue to walk around in circles confused. But the truth is, this country and many other countries is based on the dollar.
Right.
Somebody getting a dollar, right?
Right.
And it does take money to live. However, what good is all the money in the world if you don't have any air that you can breathe?
That's right.
what good is it?
Right. Well, they'll have something to help them breathe, but
Help
not
them
the
move to
people
Mars.
Right.
'Cause
Right.
One thing about it, you're not going to continue to contaminate this earth. And what do you think? Oh, I'm so rich, the bad air just move when I walk.
Yeah.
That's not how that works.
Okay.
So we have people who are depraved. I'm sorry, that's the word I have to use.
Use
You
it.
are
Hey, look.
mentally depraved if you are willing to contaminate this earth in such a way that your children's children won't be safe to live on it.
Right.
And you'd rather go try to harvest another planet to see if that's okay to live on and mess up where you are to get more dollars. We have some people that are sick,
Oh,
but
yeah.
we have been targeted so much that I believe that we're not in fight or flight mode, many of us. We're literally in this state of being frozen
Right.
and surviving day to day, and we accept things that should be considered unacceptable anywhere.
Okay. Okay. And there's one more project. When you spoke about the Amazon, and what's the other project?
So Entergy is also building a substation, and also very large, and it also poses some of the exact same risks. And then what you're creating is a super environmental catastrophe, because what's not too far from both of these projects is Little Dixie. Little Dixie is a landfill in North Hines County. And Little Dixie was known for years to have a leak. So you have all these chemicals leaking into the ground,
Right.
leaking into the earth. Now, that's coming from one direction. On the opposite side of that, you have this other environmental contaminant issue that's about to occur, and they meet each other. So what is going to happen to the air and the land in that area and the people who own it and the people who live on it
Right.
and near it? What happens? What happens to the equity in their homes? So we can't continue to allow things to occur that benefit a few and give a slow death to the many.
Right. Yeah, because I was thinking about the energy plant that was over here on Northside Drive, the one they just demolished at Lake Hyco and all of that. And just some of the stuff that I heard about how you can't use the land right away, you know, because of the long-term use that Entergy had for it.
Right.
You know, so yeah, is that where they relocating that plant to?
No,
The new one?
that's not a relocation, because that one has been closed for quite some time.
Uh-huh.
But I'll say this about that. And so you're talking about one piece of it. I want to talk about the deal with that particular
Lake Hyco.
thing. Yeah, so that was on 16th Session land, right?
Uh-huh.
So Entergy was actually paying Jackson Public Schools.
Right.
And they were paying them, if I'm not mistaken, in excess of $350,000 a year.
Okay.
I believe somewhere in there.
Really?
Yeah. That sound good?
For them?
No, that's not good. Let me tell you why. Because Jackson Public School was paying them in excess of over $200,000 for most months for utilities.
No, I said that was a good deal
So-
for Entergy.
Oh yeah, for
Not-
Entergy.
not
Oh yeah,
for
that's what I'm saying.
JPS.
So, but we turn around,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
being billed by these people.
Right.
All those years that was going on. So again, we have to have people who are willing to look at what it is and not continue to sell us short. We
Right.
cannot continue to get the short end of the stick
Right.
and then have somebody to come around and point a finger. It's always somebody else.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So
That's some good stuff.
and that's just one. I wish I had the exact figures, but when you just look back at some of these deals that were made, it's quite interesting. You know, like people even talk about these schools closing.
Right.
But I think what we fail to look at is the why in that. And most of us are going to look at recent history. But let's go back to a time when all the decisions for Jackson were being made just by a few people, because the city
Right.
council was, 2 people?
3.
And then there were 4 at a time. That's what it was.
Right.
So while these people were making those decisions, we had a lot of people in schools who were black and white, right?
Right.
Some schools were white, some were black. So as integration occurred, what do we have? White flight. But all these schools, for the most part, had already been built
Yep.
for a particular population.
Right.
So as certain laws were put in place, you had an instant 10,000 plus to leave the district. And even though we were still populated, even though the schools were still populated, again, the original construction of them was for an amount that was no longer in the public school system.
Right.
Okay. So you had white flight that occurred. Now, we talk about white flight, but we don't talk about black flight. And the affluent blacks that are also going to follow, because there's also a trend of resources that leave
Right.
based on the makeup of the population.
Right.
So nothing had ever been done that would make up for the loss in the population of the school all these many years later. But everyone's surprised as the schools are closing and saying that what a failure that is. But everything is based on numbers, and we must look at numbers along the way.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, that's a good deal. So you spoke about something when we were talking about, we spoke at another podcast, and we got on the subject about crime. You know, our young people, gun violence, and things of that nature, and like it's actually ramping up for some reason. Normally, it ramps up during the summertime and springtime, but it appears to be ramping up now.
I don't know. You know what? We've had a few incidents in a concentrated amount of time.
Right.
But even with that, they're showing that the numbers are down.
The numbers are still down, but
Right.
when, again, we're speaking about in a short.
Right.
I'm gonna say from last month to where we are in this month. I think we've had quite a few numbers. We've had quite a few numbers, and some people say that it's because we don't have a real chief. I don't really think that's it, but just your opinion on that. Just why do you think that is?
I don't think people looked up and said one day like, "Oh, Chief Wade gone." You know what? I've been wanting to do something.
Well, the way it's being explained, and I listen to everybody. Is that when people see that there's no stability, they tend to act up a little bit more. But just what do you think about the recent crime wave that we've had?
I think that the recent crime wave, and let me take a step back. So a lot of what we've seen in the news as far as a recent crime wave, I think a lot of us are looking at what happened in surrounding communities as well. And it sometimes everything just feels like it's happening
Back
just
in
like
Jackson.
literally right here.
Right.
So a lot of that which we heard, it wasn't even in Jackson.
Right.
But for the things that have occurred in Jackson, I don't believe, and I'm no expert.
Right.
I don't believe that not having a permanent police chief in place is why that occurred. Do we need the police chief selected soon? Absolutely. I'm sure that the men and women who serve on the department are looking for stability.
That's right.
But I also believe that it's better to get it right than to rush it, just to put something in place and truly unstabilize the city and the department.
Right. Okay, I agree with that. I agree with that completely.
But as it pertains to crime, I believe that there are many factors that are involved with it. We look at the thing itself, but we were just talking about the environment. Well, if we've been dealing with lead poisoning going on, and we know that lead actually increases violent tendencies in people, I haven't been hearing anybody talk about medical task force or just really finding out how that can be looked at with our youth to find out if that is impactful and what can be done about that.
Okay, we're going to dig deeper into that lead poisoning situation. When we come back, we'll see you shortly.
Right.
The Mississippi Link is an African American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, Keepers of the Knowledge for People Who Speak the Truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
All right. We're back with Miss Felicia Tripp, and she's laying down the knowledge, everybody. So before we went on a commercial break, we were talking about what I consider, and other people, an uptick in violent crimes, over the past month. Mm-hmm. And then we got into a conversation about the young people. A lot of it that's being shown is being pointed toward the young people. Right. So you made an interesting point. You said something about lead poisoning, or the amount of lead that's in water, because that's an aspect we never really just look at. We just try to find out, do they have a violent background, are they on drugs, can we send them to jail? Kind of break that down to me, the lead issue.
Okay, so I became involved in the environmental climate justice movement really by chance. I was invited to go to New Orleans. Uh-huh. I heard free. I went. Okay. Ended up on an environmental tour. Okay. I began to learn a lot. Ended up being connected with an organization, the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, who had, this was a union organization. I was non-union at the time. Mm-hmm. I was able to connect with a subgroup that they had organized because they wanted to truly connect with community. Uh-huh. So the CARET team is what I joined. And that's Community Action and Response Against Toxins. Okay. While joining that, and all of this was under, again, the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, which was started by Mr. William Bill Lucy, who's no longer with us, but longtime freedom fighter, was actually there, who organized the strike of the garbage workers when Martin Luther King died. Absolutely. Right. So fast forward, about 16 years ago, I became involved with the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, Community Action and Response Against Toxins, and 6 areas of focus, which with this plan that was written out by a woman named Carolyn Bell, also from the Memphis area, addressed mold remediation, community preparedness, lead, and a few other areas, Brownsfields also, and a few other things. So I was able to learn through connecting with them quite a bit is how we are impacted by PFAS, or forever chemicals, and lead. These are, if you read on things, and what do you think the safe amount of lead is for a product? And I'm asking you, what do you think a safe amount would be?
What percentage of that product?
Having lead in it, what is the safe amount?
I would guess less than 1%.
So there is no safe amount. And you have, in this country, products that they allow a certain amount of lead in. There is no safe amount. I met a woman, Queen Zakia Shabazz, who is out of the Virginia area. And she has an organization, UPAL, and that's United People Against Lead. She's also a member of this organization. From her, I've been able to learn so much. You read and you listen. Her son was impacted by lead poisoning, and life, of course, changed forever for him. In high doses, which a lot of our communities have been susceptible to, whether it be through pain that was chipping at a time, whether it be in the schools, taking that in, that becomes a part of a person. So you'll have people who were placed in what we call special education services at a time, who weren't tested, who were indeed impacted by lead poisoning. And again, if you read on this, it shows they increase violent tendencies in people. So if you add that forever chemicals plus just what we view from day to day and how it can impact the mind,
Right.
yes, people are going to be impacted by that. Now, me saying all that doesn't mean that, oh, we just need to look at that. That's what's wrong with crime. But no, but we have to look at this thing from the layers that exist.
Right.
If indeed we as a society want to address it in a way that we can combat it and not have the next generation coming up dealing with the exact same
thing,
hamster wheel
right.
of stuff.
Okay.
So you have to look at all of this, because if the thing exists and we're not fighting to get rid of the thing and reducing the crime, what are we really doing?
Right. So what else other than lead is a forever chemical? I know lead is a big thing.
Well, lead is different than PFAS.
Now tell me
And
what
that's
that is.
PFAS, and I'll be honest, I cannot pronounce that word for you that stands for, but it's PFAS. And again, the short name and what people call them are forever chemicals. Why? Because they are there forever.
And where do you normally find them at? Like,
So they've actually been found in the water. So if you
Really?
look at the reports for the water situation that was going on in Jackson, we heard lead, but a lot of people overlooked that PFAS were in there as well,
wow.
or the forever chemicals. But not just in Jackson. The University of Mississippi, and I hope I'm getting it right, it was either Mississippi State or the University of Mississippi did a study years and years ago. And it shows that there are several areas in Mississippi
Wow.
where the water is absolutely contaminated. So to know that a thing exists is one thing, but what indeed was being done about it is where we really have to raise those concerns. You have a lot of pesticides that have been shown to have a lot of these same chemicals. You're talking about carcinogens, as well as the other impacts that it has on us from a mental and physical standpoint. So if we're being attacked on all ends and you don't have access to the medical care that you need, what indeed are we doing here?
Right.
And what can we do to offset that and change it?
Right.
So,
So when they're giving these boil water alerts, how effective do you think the boiling the water is when it comes to these chemicals?
and I hope
Again, I know you say you're not an expert, but
right.
just
So what I've always been taught and what I've always read is you can't boil out lead. Can't boil out forever chemicals either. So you can use that water for some things like flushing your toilet, other things like that when it is indeed contaminated. But there are filtration systems that exist. So let's just say someone boiled their water and used the filtration systems, the right ones. Not every filtration system is even the same. Then you have a greater chance at having something that is not as contaminated.
okay.
Because it's my true opinion that it's going to be hard for us to have any source of water here that doesn't have something in it. But that doesn't mean let's go guzzle it up because it doesn't matter. It does matter.
Right.
But I do believe that we need to be vigilant about listening to those who actually are doing that research to find out what can be done, and to have elected officials in place who have the leadership mentality to listen to experts so we can come up with real solutions that work for everyone, not just those who can afford glass bottled waters all
Right.
the time.
So the best one, I was just about to ask you about plastic bottles. Like we drink out of the plastic bottles all the time. I hear a lot of negative things about plastic bottles and how they keep things fresh in the whatever they're lined with or whatever.
So plastic itself, if at a certain temperature, whatever is in that plastic will actually go into your water. So it's not the most ideal container.
Okay.
In addition to that, plastic is one of these materials that is junking up the earth. So most people don't recycle. We're not
Right.
looking for ways to do that.
Right.
And so, you find at the bottom of the ocean a lot of plastic, which is harming that particular ecosystem as well. So yeah, and look at me just sipping out of it and
Yeah.
know that.
Okay.
So
Okay. Yeah, but hey,
but yeah.
we here. So I wanted to switch pages. We got a few more minutes left. I'm gonna say something, and you just say whatever comes to your mind. Okay. a lot of the young people committing crimes are YNs.
You trying to press my buttons?
I'm trying to press your button because because you have a very interesting take on that, and I think the people need to hear that because we love calling our young people YNs. You know, a whole bunch of YNs doing this, but okay,
So,
go ahead and give me your take on that.
I believe there are more ONs than YNs.
Okay, and what's
But
okay.
But here's my here's my take on it.
Uh-huh.
I believe that we are very quick to cloak negatively
Right.
our children like that.
Uh-huh.
There is no nationality, ethnicity, or race that will negatively cloak their children like Black Americans will in negativity like that.
Right.
How dare we not only call them that, but allow anyone else to call them that? And so we're going to feed into their psyche that that's indeed what they are.
Right.
Then we pull out 1, 2, skip a few, and say, "Oh, you're the exceptional one. You're not like them." How are we really uplifting anyone? We always criminalize.
Right.
We always do that with our children, and we will do it based on a hairstyle that they have,
Right.
or the way they dress. Like
Right.
that is indeed what's pulling a trigger. Nobody's pants is pulling a trigger, right? Nobody's hair looking a particular way is
Right.
pulling a trigger. It's called being young and expressing yourself. And so I'm so glad my mother did allow me to wear a Marge Simpson looking hairstyle and whatever else to get through that as a young person and become an adult who understands decorum or whatever in particular areas. Even though that's that's a different question in itself. We focus so much on how something looks, and we become so focused on decorum that we make it acceptable when someone in a suit and tie is willing to have sexual relations with a 13-year-old.
Right.
And that's okay
Right.
because he didn't have his pants sagging and he wasn't what someone would call a YN. So we're mentally depraved.
Okay. Yeah, she's serious about that, but it does gives an interesting take on it because we do it.
We just got a bridge.
We do it, and then
We just got a bridge named after Frank Melton.
yeah, I was coming to that too. But I want to make sure people understand like the mental effect of using the word YN. Because
Yeah.
I mean, up until we had our conversation last week, I'd be look too many YNs in there for me. You know, I don't deal with a bunch of the YNs are. You know, but sometimes it takes somebody else to open your eyes about what you're doing. You know, so.
You know, one thing I do, I brag on my sons. I brag on all my children, my daughters and sons, but I just want to talk about my sons because we're talking about young men. I brag on my sons, but I don't think that they are the exception. I've been around a lot of their friends, good young men. Are any of them perfect? No, but they are productive, tax-paying, looking for the future, looking for the best young men for the most part. And so why would I cloak them in that way and put in their mind that the hopes and dreams they have about where they can be? Nah, you're YN. You're not going to do that.
So we should remove that N and put an M right there, young man.
Or just call them by their name.
Right. Okay. Hey, y'all hear it.
And treat them as such. You
Okay.
know, we have to instill more humanity in everything.
Right.
So that's just my thought. Like I said,
Right.
to me, it's easier when you have love for someone. You look at that someone you have love for, and
Right.
you want to be treated a certain way.
Right.
And hopefully, that someone is even you. How
Right.
would you have wanted someone to treat a younger you?
Right.
And think about I remember when I was younger, and adult men were trying to date and have sex with 12, 13, 14-year-old girls. Adult women will call these girls fast.
Because the
No,
man
they're
is trying-
children.
Yeah.
Now you mad at a child, a girl,
Yeah.
about a grown man instead of
Right.
protecting the child
Right.
or girl.
Right.
Black people, we are too quick to sexualize and make an adult out of our children, but then talk about and call them a YN.
Right.
These children are doing this and that. Well, you made them an adult when they weren't one.
Right.
So
Right. Powerful. Powerful. Okay, let's jump back on this bridge that we're speaking of. Last night at city council meeting,
Interesting words. Jump on the bridge.
There was a vote. There was a couple of votes that went down, but one of them was about naming a bridge after the late Frank Melton, late former Jackson Mayor Frank Melton, and Pearl Street Bridge and parts of Pearl Street. Or are they just gonna do the whole Pearl Street? Or how's that? We know they're gonna do the bridge, right? And then we know they're gonna do, I think, the downtown parts. But give me your opinion on that.
So this falls under the category of if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense kind of thing. You have to spend money for these name changes. That's A.
Right.
That's A. And with all the things that need money pointed toward it in Jackson, we want to rename a bridge. Now, I know there are a lot of people who have a certain nostalgia and reminisce on the days of Frank Melton being around. But I remember him being a one-term mayor. I remember the lawsuits that went along with it. I remember how much money Jackson had to pay out as a result of that. I remember all of that. I remember the people who fought to make sure he couldn't just stop a bus and walk on and hug children. And I won't get into any other allegations, but I will say this. Harvey Johnson was the first black mayor that we had. I don't recall any type of scandal associated with him. So why, if you're going to name a bridge after somebody who was a former mayor, why not the Harvey Johnson Bridge?
Okay.
If you like symbolism.
Right. Okay.
But what in words, and I'll say this too. Anybody who sides with certain people, and this is just an if now. I'm not saying anybody is or isn't a thing. But for people who make excuses for Donald Trump and what he does, I have to think that you side with someone who people say is a pedophile because you're okay with pedophilia. Right. Okay? Right. So that what you glorify, it makes me think maybe that's what you are okay with. Right. And so I have to think is indeed people with that mindset who we need leading our city. Okay? Okay. What? And I just say that. But as far as the other vote goes, okay. Y'all see that face? That's what I mean. She say what she mean and she mean what she say. Okay, go ahead. So, I had a lot of questions last night too. So I went after leaving the Jackson Public School Board meeting. I did go to the city council and to gain more understanding about the land near the airport because that's something that we've all been worried about, the airport being taken from the city of Jackson. They've been talking about this regional authority board there where 4 counties end up taking with it. But I assumed that that's what the vote was about, so I rushed over there from the Jackson Public School Board meeting last night. And what I learned is that this was about some land that is not attached to the airport or the land that the airport sits on. It's another piece of land that Jackson had not incorporated that is in the area of Rankin County. Jackson's land, Rankin County. Now, the reason that it was suggested that the city council vote yes on that was because the judge in Rankin County actually had the right to give it to them and Jackson not get any money. So for them to settle and Jackson be able to at least get the taxes and be able to lease the land and still maintain ownership, then Jackson gets something, as opposed to the land being given to Rankin County and Jackson have nothing. Right. So that's what I gathered from it. And there was a 5-2 vote. Clay and Stokes voted against it. It was a 7-0 vote for the renaming of a bridge. Of the bridge. Okay. All right, y'all. Interesting conversation. And she came with it. Miss Turner, good to see you on here tonight. You supposed to be working. Okay, so well. I really want to get your opinion on those 2 votes right there. So let me ask you this. How was the vibe in City Hall after the votes? To be honest, people were engaged. I didn't get like a particular feel that everybody in the audience was one way or another. It was, they were very amicable last night, the city council. So I can appreciate the professionalism that was exhibited last night. I know they had a state of the city address at
Right.
4:00, and it was followed by the city council meeting.
Right.
However, I would hope that in the future that people do a little more research on the feeling of the majority of people
Right.
before making votes of symbolism with no sustenance in this city, where we
Right.
looking for some streets to be fixed so we don't have to swerve out.
Right. And I think that's one thing you should always do, especially when you're making big decisions like that, because I think when they were trying to rename the Bobby Rush Street, which I think some of that money came from private donors, but it was going to be over $1 million just to do that. So
Right.
again, we're talking about money coming out of the city's budget, and we already,
Right. And Bobby
like
Rush,
that
a
with money.
music icon who is living, giving him his flowers. To me, that's more like a giving to do as opposed to, I'm like,
Right.
what are we doing?
Right.
What are we doing?
Right.
So,
Tell us about the cleanup you have coming up. You got a cleanup coming up in Verdant Edition.
yes.
Let's talk
it's-
about that right quick. We got a couple of minutes.
Okay, yeah. So it's going on this Saturday, October 25th from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. We're working on creating a plan where we can make sure that all the every area where you stop at every intersection is clear. We want to make sure that all the brush that's overgrown into the streets is pushed back. And I was so happy to see as I was driving through there today that the city of Jackson actually had some work going on Collier Avenue to cut some of that back already. So shout out to them, Lakeisha Weathers in the Solid Waste Division as well, and the Roads and Bridges crew. But we're going to start at 1224 Eminence Row in Jackson, Mississippi. That's the old Morrison Elementary School. Keep Jackson Beautiful is providing a lot of that material. They're sponsoring it. We're going to be working with a few organizations, Mega Evers Reloaded, Movement in a Mission, Restore Jackson, Reset Jackson, and several others. Please forgive me if I didn't call your name, Brain Freeze. But yeah, so I'm really excited about that. Looking forward to working with everybody, just creating a vision for the entire Ward 3 where we can have that quality of life that every ward deserves.
Right. So if the public wants to just come out and help, what do they need to bring? Or do they need to just bring themselves? Y'all going to have the gloves and bags and a little...
Yeah, we'll have
clamps,
some
what you
pickers
call
and some
them things?
gloves. Yeah,
Okay.
they're called the pickers.
Pickers, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have some pickers. We'll have some bags. And we'll have some gloves. Bring some good walking shoes, some safe walking shoes.
No heels.
We'll have. Please don't wear the heels.
Why?
Please don't wear the heels.
They might want to look good cleaning up.
AMR is not going to be out there.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a good look with heels. Heels on the heels, but
Again, tell them what day that is.
that is going to be Saturday, October 25th, starting at 8 a.m., 1224 Eminence Row. Eminence Row.
Okay, and if anybody want to contact you for anything, maybe something they heard, or people who may go back and watch the show later and have any questions, how do they reach you?
Yeah, so you can reach me at area code 601-665-5119 or on Facebook. I'm Felicia Tripp. You will see me or Fannie Lou Hamer's pictures there. I swap them out. That's one of my one of the icons. I seek to do at least a fraction of what she was able to accomplish in her lifetime.
Okay, closing remarks.
Okay, closing, I would like to say, first of all, again, thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys can come out and connect with us this Saturday, because if any of us is not where we should be, none of us is where we should be in the city of Jackson. So I'm looking forward to working with everyone.
All right, great deal. My closing remarks, I want to first thank you for coming on the show. I met you last week at a podcast, and I said I have to get her on the show. You didn't hesitate, and I think that's great, that you made yourself available on such short notice. And I want people to really follow her, because a lot of the stuff that Miss Tripp is talking about, it isn't the same old that we see or hear, or that's being fed to us, to get us in this certain line. She's outside of that line. She's outside of the box. And she's teaching us some things that's not only going to help us, but that's going to help generations down the line. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank my producer, Miss Amanda, who does not play. I don't know if she got a belt back there, a switch back there.
She got a look.
But I'm
I know
scared.
That.
Yeah,
she got a look.
Yeah.
She got a look that
her look is that belt.
Well,
that's
her eyes,
extension cord.
She whooped you.
All right, Miss Amanda, you gave me a good whooping today with your eyes, and I'm gonna act right next time. Everybody, thank y'all for joining in. Say something nice. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. I love you all, and we are out of here.